Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I am Danielle, aka Stitcherista here on YouTube, and today is Wednesday, June 22nd. I am off work today. We were supposed to have a job and it canceled and we never got anything else in. So that sometimes happens. And so I decided today to do another stitch with me because it lets me get some stitching in. So I got up very early today. I was up at 5:30. And I did the Wordle, got the laundry in, got some stuff done, did some coloring, which I will show you in the next face-to-face video, which will probably be tomorrow. I did her skin and her face. And then I decided to, because it was still nice out. So yesterday was the first day of summer here in the US. And even when it is summer, you know, 6:30, 7 o'clock, it's still decent outside, like 65, 70 most of the time. And I said, you know, I have Riley Sager's new book. I'm going to get a cup of coffee, my breakfast, and I'm going to go sit outside. It was glorious. First of all, school is out here, so there's no school buses, no kids. You know, no kid in the summer is up. Most of them, they're not up at 6:30, right? Nobody's mowing their lawn. Nobody's doing none of that. It was very nice and quiet. It was glorious. So I read the first almost 50 pages of Riley Sager's new book, which is called The House Across the Lake. So here is the synopsis of the book. Be careful what you watch for. Casey Fletcher, a recently widowed actress trying to escape a streak of bad press, has retreated to the peace and quiet of her family's lake house in Vermont. Armed with a pair of binoculars and several bottles of bourbon, she passes the time watching Tom and Catherine Royce, the glamorous couple living in the house across the lake. They make for good viewing. A tech innovator, Tom is powerful, and a former model, Catherine, is gorgeous. One day on the lake, Casey saves Catherine from drowning, and the two strike up a budding friendship. But the more they get to know each other and the longer Casey watches, the more it becomes clear that Catherine and Tom's marriage isn't as perfect as it appears. When Catherine suddenly vanishes, Casey immediately suspects Tom of foul play. What she doesn't realize is that there's more to the story than meets the eye, and that shocking secrets can lurk beneath the most placid of surfaces. Packed with sharp characters, psychological suspense, and gasp-worthy plot twists, Riley Sager's The House Across the Lake is the ultimate escapist read, no lake house required. I bought the hardcover because when I'm done, I'm going to do a giveaway for you guys and give it to one of you to read. I just love his book so much. So that will be my routine. I'm going to try to incorporate that every morning because when I say it was glorious, it was the most peaceful I've had in a long time. If you hear a crackling in the background, that is a candle. I have a candle I bought from Kohl's. That is a trilogy candle, and the scent is fireside, and it crackles like a fireplace. It's so awesome. They have a couple different scents. They're all really, really nice. I absolutely love those candles. I have that burning in the background. So, coffee. So, you know, Bill and I have been eating better, healthier. I have given up my beloved cappuccino. And I was just drinking coffee with half and half. Well, someone in one of my Facebook groups said that the Starbucks Zero Sugar Caramel Macchiato Creamer is really good. I have not had luck with sugar-free creamers, meaning the ones from Coffee Mate, I can't get past the chemical aftertaste of whatever they're using as a sweetener. Well, I said, okay, I'm going to try this Starbucks one because I had never given that a try. Oh my God. I really like it. Now, does it taste like a regular full sugar caramel coffee? No. But it does taste, it smells really good. I know that. The creamer smells really good. It does give it a pleasant taste. It's hard to describe what it is. When I drink my coffee with just a little half and half, I'm almost drinking it black. So this makes it more palatable. And it's only 20 calories per tablespoon and like 1 carb. So it's not, yeah. And before anyone lectures me about sugar-free stuff, don't even bother. Because while I try to eat mostly healthy and not diet food, I will drink a diet soda on occasion, and I will have that creamer. So I only have 1 to 2 cups of coffee a day now. I used to have a lot more than that. So yeah. So found that. And from coloring the page that I'm currently coloring, and I had done the smaller size of that same picture I had started before I decided to do the bigger piece. So the 3 colors I used for the background, I have really worn those pencils down to almost a nub, right? So I said, all right, I'm going to order, because you can get Prismacolor open stock. You can buy them individually. Now, Michaels has some, but it's hit or miss. And I thought to myself, okay, do I really want to get in the car and ride up there just for them not to have these pencils? No. So I spent some time this morning trying to find the cheapest place to order online that wouldn't gouge you also for shipping. Because let's face it, postal prices have gone up, so I get it, but still want to pay the least for shipping. So the first place I tried was Dick Blick, which is an art store. One of the pencils I needed, because I was getting 4, one of the pencils I needed was out of stock. And then I went to, I think I went to Mr. Art. And when I put the pencils in my cart, it was going to be $10 shipping. There's no way. There is no way in hell. I would have either waited until I needed more pencils, or I would have just tried to go to Michael's. I said, all right, I'm going to try. There's a place called Marker Supply that I have gotten some art supplies from. Shipping was like $4.90. So still not fantastic, but I can stomach it because they're probably going to put the pencils in some kind of protective something to protect them, right? So for 4 pencils, it was basically $1 shipping per pencil. And the pencils were $1.30 a piece, I think. Something like that. So if I remember, I'll try to link Marker Supply down below so you can, if you want to check the place out. They have a lot of art supplies. Okay, so because I had off today, I wrote a little list of stuff to do because I don't know about you, but when I have a day off, I just don't like lay around and not do anything. Most of the time I'm trying to obviously get a video done, but I'm trying to get cleaning done, house chores done. So I wound up running the dishwasher, doing laundry, and I wanted to clean both of our bathrooms. We have a full bath and a half bath with just a sink and a toilet. And when I clean the bathrooms, I also wash the towels and the rugs that are in there. Oh, that reminds me, they're in the dryer. Just reminded myself of that. So when I normally clean the bathrooms, when I normally clean the one with our tub, I will sit on the edge of the tub and just scrub it the best I can. This time I decided to actually get in the tub, step in the tub, really be able to reach all the walls, all that stuff. And with doing my nails and trying to really not open stuff with my nails or just try to protect my nails from chipping, breaking, all of that, I said, you know what? I'm going to get some rubber gloves for cleaning. So where in the hell have I been that I have not gotten rubber gloves before now? So I found a pack at the grocery store. It was two pairs of rubber gloves. Fantastic. No cleaner, no bleach on my hands. Nails weren't chipped. Fantastic. Absolutely. So, and also, for years now, I have had one of those clear plastic caddies with a handle that you can put art supplies in, but it looks like it's made for cleaning supplies. So you can carry them from room to room, okay? I've hardly used this thing. And I said, you know what? I'm going to use that today to carry the stuff downstairs. Because when I clean, I'm using magic eraser, bathroom cleaner, glass cleaner, paper towels, a toilet scrub brush that is like disposable. So I have a bunch of stuff. So I go in our linen closet. Now, I've cleaned our linen closet out numerous times over the years. And it always somehow winds up getting cluttered and ridiculous once again. The caddy was like behind all of these towels and like sheets that we never use. And I'm like, why is this stuff in here? So I cleaned off like that whole shelf so I can just put the caddy in there. I got rid of like old pillowcases and stuff that we don't use. Trash is coming tomorrow. I just put it in a trash bag, just throwing it away. Because that stuff we haven't used in like 8 years. Like, are we kidding right now? So now that shelf is nice and neat and I can reach the caddy by just pulling it off the shelf. I guarantee you Bill is going to notice and say something because nothing I do in this house goes unnoticed by him. Not one thing. So we'll see. So I did that, cleaned, and I had taken a shower before I cleaned. So I'm trying to really, preserve the healthiness of my hair and things like that. So I said, when I get out of the shower, I got dressed and I just combed my wet hair and let it air dry while I cleaned. By the time I got downstairs to do like my hair and makeup and stuff, my hair was almost dry, which is a good thing. It's nice to not constantly be applying heat to your hair, obviously. So by the time I got all of that done, I had lunch, and then I sat down and I said, I'm going to do this video. So I am so close to finishing this piece. I only have the top border to do. So I am very, very close. And I'm hoping to finish it today, tonight, and then kit up, squeeze the day, because I really think that's the next one I'm going to stitch. I need to look at my junk journal and see maybe where I can fit it. Oh, someone asked me a question they didn't understand about me stitching on the paper. So let me try to explain it. The perforated paper is 18 count. It is 18 count like 18 count Aida. I stitch on it like I stitch on Aida. I use one strand of floss. The paper is somewhat flexible, but is very sturdy at the same time. I buy the paper from 123 Stitch. It is linked in the description box of every video that I do. And yeah, I just stitch on it like I would stitch on a piece of fabric, but I can hold it in my hand because it's that sturdy. And I put the washi tape around the edge to give it a decorative border and to protect the thread or my nails or my ring or anything catching on the edge of that paper. I hope that explains it. You can put beads on the paper. The only thing you can't do on that paper that you can do on fabric are fractional stitches. You can't pierce the center of a square on the paper. Perforated paper also comes in 14 count, which is the most common count. The only count that 123 Stitch has an 18 count, the only color they have is white. And I don't mind that because I have spray paint and stuff. So if I want colored 18 count, all I have to do is just paint it. So I hope that answers any questions anyone has about stitching on it. And you have to be careful, obviously, too, of just like on fabric, of carrying your threads because you would be able to see it behind there. Now, when I put the paper, the finished piece in my junk journal, I back it with cardstock of the same color. So it hides the holes somewhat. And what I do is I run it through my sticker maker. I have a Xyron Creative Station, which is a sticker maker. So I run it through there and it's fantastic. Okay. When I was bookmarking the Marker Supply Prismacolor page on my bookmarks, I came across an article I wanted to read you guys from the Tiny Buddha website. I had bookmarked this so long ago. And it is called The Power of Acceptance. Stop resisting and find the lesson. Yes. Stop resisting and find the lesson, because boy, is that really hard to do, right? So I'm going to read this to you. Now, the article is by Anonymous. Whoever wrote this did not want to be given credit, but it is from the Tiny Buddha website. So the article says, here's a quote by Arthur Rubinstein. Of course, there is no formula for success except perhaps an unconditional acceptance of life and what it brings. Sometimes you're an observer of other people's lives and you think you'll never experience what they're living, whether it's a positive or negative situation. You think that will never happen to me. Part of the real beauty of life is that it's unpredictable. Nothing is permanent, everything changes, and of course, a lot of things can happen that will transform who you are and have an impact on your life. The problem is that we need to cultivate the ability to truly accept whatever comes and embrace it. We need to develop the habit of looking at whatever happens through a positive mindset instead of a negative, defeatist one. Of course, life will bring many challenges, such as the death of someone we love, and it's not easy to embrace them when we're suffering and wishing those things would have never happened. But if we start cultivating acceptance in our lives right now, we'll likely cope with future crises in a different way and view them from a different perspective. We will accept instead of resisting. I am a big fan of Deepak Chopra's The 7 Laws of Spiritual Success. He dedicates one complete chapter, law number 4, to how we need to receive with open arms what happens to us, because if we fight and resist it, we are generating a lot of turbulence in our minds. He explains that we might want things to be different in the future, but in the present moment, we need to accept things as they are. That's the way you can make your life flow smoothly instead of roughly. During the last year of my life, I have learned the true power of acceptance. The first lesson I learned was last year when my boyfriend broke up with me after 3 years together. Even though I was reluctant to believe he wouldn't give me a second chance during the initial months, I eventually realized I had no option but to accept his choice and move on with my life. I discovered that I was happier and more peaceful when I accepted what had happened instead of constantly fighting to change things. Recently, life has presented another challenge to me. I met someone a few months ago, and even though it was clear from the beginning that nothing could ever happen between us, love found its way through. I couldn't help feeling something deep and real for him. I allowed myself to give into the feeling, even though my mind was screaming to get out and fast. I have to accept things as they are, and right now we cannot be together for many reasons. There may be hope down the road, maybe someday things might work out, but right now in this moment that's impossible. I have chosen to accept that fully. Yes, acceptance is a choice, a hard one most definitely, but a choice nonetheless. There are 2 ways out of a problem. Accept what's happening, see the positive, and choose a peaceful state of mind, or fight against it, be miserable, and struggle against the universe. Even though my 2 examples are related to love and relationships, I am 100% positive that learning to accept things as they present themselves is a helpful tool in all aspects of life. Whether it's a family loss, a missed opportunity, or a sudden change in your plans, being able to accept things that are out of your control will help you maintain inner peace and happiness. Acceptance, in my opinion, is the key to convert momentary happiness to enduring happiness. It helps you move from feeling happy to actually being happy. Practicing acceptance prepares you to live in this changing world where you never know what's going to happen next. Acceptance is like protecting yourself with your own shield. Let me clarify that acceptance is not at all related to weakness and is definitely not a synonym of conformity or mediocrity. We need to learn how to identify when it's time to persist and when it's time to accept. One thing that makes acceptance much easier is to list all the possible explanations for why you're experiencing something. For example, I know I met this person to help him go through a very difficult moment in his life. He needed me. He needed to be heard, to be understood. And I was there for him in those ways. I fulfilled a purpose. Finding the lesson or purpose behind every challenge will help you embrace it instead of fighting it. Choose not to judge what happens to you. Instead, believe that everything happens for a reason and that better things will always follow. That's the beginning of true acceptance. Somewhere recently, I read that the important thing is not to understand why something happened. Our understanding can wait, but our obedience cannot. I translate this to mean that when something unpredictable happens, instead of complaining and overthinking it, we need to choose to live with it. I know it's hard to practice acceptance when you deeply wish things were different. But the truth is, sometimes we can't change our reality, even if we try. So instead of staring at the closed door in front of us or getting tired and bruised while we try to break it down, let's turn around and see how many other windows we have open. And something happened yesterday with work where I had a completely different approach with my boss than I would normally have. So we had a typical job yesterday, and normally in the morning before the job starts, she invites our whole team to the file so we can edit as she is taking down the testimony. 9 times out of 10, she will ask me to verify the audio, that the audio is there. She did, and there was an issue. And all of the parties, the attorneys, the witness, they were all waiting for her. So she felt sort of under pressure to hurry up and fix this audio problem, which she did, and I didn't think it was a big deal. But then a half an hour into the job, one of our team members, who I can never see in the file, most of any other team member we have, I can see like their ID in the file, what page they're on, so I can see where they are. I can never see this person in the file. We tried to figure it out. We can't figure it out. And so I mistakenly assumed she was in the file. She messages me on our group message a half hour in and says, "Did we get an invite yet?" And I'm like, oh my God, we've been in the file for half an hour. She changed her ID. She changed her email address, so it changed her ID to get into the file. And I thought, oh my God, my boss is going to die because she hates getting stuff like that when she is on the record taking down testimony. But I have to message her immediately because this person needs to be in the file. I'm like, oh, okay, I just got to message her. So I text her because when she's remotely doing a job, she keeps her phone on to see messages from me. So I text her and I say, so-and-so changed their ID. So I need you to invite them on that. I said, I just found out. So she writes me back and says, I can't take much more for today. And I thought to myself, what? What does that mean? Like, okay, I know we had the audio issue in the beginning and then this happened, but the testimony wasn't hard. We weren't having a bad day. I'm like, man, we have had much worse days than this. And so instead of sending my normal, like, I don't know what the hell is wrong with you email, I took a step back. Now, I don't text her or email her while she's taking a job, while she's on the record, unless it is an emergency. If I have to ask her anything else that's non-priority, I will wait until they take a break or until we're done for the day. So I drafted an email that I was going to send to her at a break. And it said, please know that when I text you or email you, it's not to bug you or annoy you. And I explained how I didn't know this person had changed their ID until that very moment when she told me. And I ended it with, I'm sorry you're having a bad day. I am. I'm sorry you're having a bad day. I don't know what is going on with you. So because I think I had that approach to it instead of just like reading her the riot act, which I've done in the past, she called me on the next break when she read my email. And she said, it has nothing to do with you. Apparently, she had something with her husband the morning right before the job started. So it started her off on the wrong foot with the job. And so it just, that kind of stuff can just carry over into the rest of your day. So we were fine after that, and yeah, I just extended her some grace. I need to do that more often. Absolutely. So it was about in that moment, accepting what was happening, right? Easier said than done, but definitely my work is a big opportunity for me to do that when we have horrific days, which we had 2 days last week that were just completely, utterly hideous. And I worked late both nights, didn't do a video either one of those days, if you remember. Yeah. But yeah, we all have the opportunity for acceptance a million times a day. Absolutely. Okay. So let's read the Unfuck Yourself entry for today, which is build something new, an entirely new approach to living your life. Make the past obsolete. I really want to, I went on YouTube and I bookmarked some isometric exercise videos because instead of constantly trying to get on the treadmill, I want to do some weight training. And the isometrics, I've done them before. Holy moly, they're hard, but do they produce results? So that is something new. I want to build a newer, better body. I know it's going to take time. I'm striving. I am striving to do that. Okay, so we're going to read a small miracle story and then we're going to end for today. Oh, okay. So I have one little story, another story to tell you. I had notes because of just little different things happened throughout the day. So this is a case for you absolutely need to follow directions, even for the simplest of things. When I cleaned out my office closet, I had my Vera Bradley craft bag hanging on a hook in that closet. Well, that hook fell down. And the bag was on the floor. And I said, okay, so obviously I need to find a hook that is going to hold probably 5 pounds or so. So I went on Amazon and I ordered one of their big 3M hooks. They're white hooks. So when you get the hook in the mail, it comes in 2 parts. It has like the back piece that sticks to the wall. Then it has the hook part that fits over the back piece. And then there are the sticky adhesive things. There are like 5 steps you're supposed to follow. And I said, you know what? Every other time I use these hooks, I never follow the directions. I just put it up there. I'm going to follow step by step and see if it makes a difference. It makes a difference. They tell you first to clean the area where you're going to put the hook with alcohol so there is no dirt or debris. You put the adhesive on the back piece and stick the back piece and you press it on the wall for 10 seconds. You would not believe how long 10 seconds is until you're doing something, right? So you do that. Then you put the back piece on it, which is the hook, and then you press it again for 30 seconds. 30 seconds is even much long. 3 times as long as 10 seconds. It seems like an eternity. I set a timer on my phone. So I'm pressing. Then you wait 1 hour before you hang anything on that hook. The bag is still up there a week later and has not fallen. You need to take, and I always get on Bill about not reading directions. The simplest of things, the directions are there for a reason. If I just would have slapped that hook up there, it probably would have fallen like the other ones did. Just saying. Okay, so our small miracle story for today is a short one. It's only 2 pages. So here we go. Although I lost both my parents 2 years ago, they died within a few months of each other, I remember the circumstances surrounding my mother's death more vividly because they were unusual and striking. I am a great fan of the Christian evangelical singer Curtis Stigers. His music has always had the power to uplift and comfort me in the worst of times. When my mother was rushed to the hospital one evening, before entering the ambulance, I paused to grab my black tote bag, which hangs in the corner in the front hall. It contains my Walkman and several of Steiger's tapes. I had the feeling that I would be needing to listen to his music that night. All night long, as doctors worked over my mother who had had a stroke, I listened to my Curtis Stigers tapes in the hospital waiting room. Kind nurses brought me coffee from time to time and offered me their company, but the solace I sought was from Steiger's music. Early in the morning, the battery in the Walkman must have run out because the music suddenly came to an abrupt halt. Startled out of my anesthetized state, I automatically glanced down at my watch and was surprised to note that it was 4:41. The night had passed more swiftly than I had ever imagined possible, and I got up to check on my mother's condition. As I walked towards the nurse's station, I saw a body draped with a sheet being wheeled out of a room. It was my mother. When I received the death certificate, I saw to my shock that the time of death had been 4:41, exactly the time that my Walkman battery had run out and Curtis had stopped singing. That story was by Ellen Palmer, and I feel like her name was changed because they have an asterisk there. So the comment, there is a time to sing and a time to weep, Ecclesiastes said. There are moments in our lives when we must embrace the hard times and the pain. Since it was no longer appropriate for the joyous music to play, it stopped. The time to confront the tragedy and to mourn had arrived. So that makes me think back to when my grandfather passed away in the hospital. And, I was angry at the circumstances at first, but now when I think about it, I just think I was not meant to be in that room when he passed. So he had been in the hospital for 2 days before my mom actually told me. And I think she didn't tell me because he had been in and out of the hospital many times over the last year. And I thought that she probably thought he was just going to come home. And so she didn't want us running up there because this was when the pandemic was rampant and you could hardly even go up to a hospital to visit someone. So she calls me on Sunday night and says, your grandfather's been in the hospital. I just wanted to let you know. And I'm like, is he all right? And she's like, he was just talking funny. And she said, it really alarmed me. So I called 911. Okay. So she called me Monday morning. And I think luckily we were off work that day, or I had someone fill in for me because she called me at 9:00 and she's like, you should probably come up here. She said, because I don't know if they don't think he's going to make it through the day. And I'm like, oh my God, really? Okay. So I get dressed, I run up there. My mom, my stepfather, and my uncle were there. And they were all like immediately right in the lobby when you walk in. And she's like, I talked to them for a few minutes. And she said, well, they're only letting one person go up at a time. My grandmother was up there with him constantly. And she said, they're letting someone else in there in addition to my grandmother. So you have to get a visitor badge to go into the hospital to go up to any room. Well, the line was long. And not only was the line long, it was quite tedious to get through the line because they asked you a lot of questions to make sure you weren't ill. You had to show your ID. You had to sign something. They had to print. I mean, this was an entire ordeal. So me getting through that line took about 10 minutes. And so I get in the elevator. I go up to the floor. I find the room. And right when I walk in the room, now the lights are dim, so it's kind of dark in there. And there's a nurse in there, and she's at the foot of his bed. And she says, are you Deborah? And Deborah is my mother's name. And I said, no, that's my mother. I'm Danielle. I'm his granddaughter. And she said, he just passed. And I said, excuse me? Like, I was just so stunned. He had literally passed like 1 second before I came into that room. And so I start crying because I'm more shocked, I think, by anything. And she said, you're welcome to tell everyone can come up here. So I call my mom on the phone. I'm crying. They come up. I try to call Bill. I can't get a hold of him. And I'm just in shock. I'm in shock that I missed it by literal seconds or a second. And when I left there and went home, I was angry. I was angry for a long time because I thought I didn't get to say goodbye, right? But when I think about that miracle story and about other things that I've read, I just think my grandfather just did not want me to see him pass away, did not want me to be there in that moment. I'm a firm believer of that because here's another little story. And I know I got like a minute and a half to tell it. When my aunt was sick, she had broken her leg and she just went downhill and started to have organ failure and all kinds of stuff. We were all called up to the hospital, and it was like a waiting game. She wasn't going to wake up. We were just there to say our goodbyes and wait for her to pass. We were there for like 8 hours. The nurses brought us food, they brought us drink, and there was a point in time where we were just all so exhausted and hungry that my mom and my cousin, my brother, and me, we all went down to the cafeteria to get coffee and pizza and stuff like that. And so we were down there for a good like 20 minutes. When we came up, my grandparents were the only ones that stayed in the room with my aunt. When we came up, my aunt had passed. We didn't see my grandparents sitting in the chairs. My mom says, uh-oh. So I just think that my aunt was just waiting for us to leave to not subject everyone to her passing at, you know what I mean? That my grandparents were important to be there, but not us. So, but okay, I'm going to end this here because I only have like 10 seconds. As always, if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments section below and I will answer them to the best of my ability. Thank you so much for watching and subscribing and spending about 36 minutes of your time with me today. I'll see you in my next video. Bye, guys.